there are a lot of little details that make your story ring with authenticity, and when people notice they're not there, they don't actually notice they're not there, they just notice that something's weak about your story. So we're going to talk about that in I Should Be Writing, Season 17, Episode 62.
But I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
And hi there, everyone. My name is Mer Lafferty. This is I Should Be Writing, the podcast for wannabe fiction writers. I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays on twitch.tv/MightyMer, and then it goes into the feed for podcast listeners elsewhere. My goal is to start putting up YouTube videos at the same time, but that's a little harder because with the agreement I have with Twitch, I can't simultaneously stream both places, so actually uploading to YouTube is an extra step that involves video editing, which is a lot more work than I had initially planned on doing. And, I am dealing with a couple of personal issues right now, demanding my time and mental and emotional energy, so I have fallen behind in posting podcasts, and I'm very sorry. Last week's podcasts are done, and this week's podcasts are almost all done. I just need to load them into the various platforms to deliver them to you. So Patreon people will get them first, and then they will go into the regular feed and up on my website at merverse.com. Apologize, but sometimes life interferes and you gotta realize what the priorities are. What I'm working on, I still got some outlines I need to do, and my Audible novella came back again with minimal edits, he says, but I shot myself in the foot, and I'm kind of annoyed about that. I have been doing podcasts since 2004. I started out reading my own fiction via podcast, so I feel pretty confident narrating my own stuff. I'm used to doing it. I know where all the inflections should go. I know not every author should narrate their own stuff, but I feel confident doing it. If you know me, you know I don't feel confident doing a lot of stuff, so that says something. However, I wrote songs for this novella because it's about a children's television show. And so when I heard from my editor, he's like, hey, we haven't talked about this yet. Do you want to narrate this? Also, can you sing? And I had to just say a very bad word, because no, I can't at all. At all. Can't even pretend to sing. Can't even pretend to carry a tune in a bucket. It's bad. So it's like I would like to narrate, only I can't sing. And the songs aren't a huge part. They're just sort of a flavor text of it's to give you a sense of it. The story is about America has slid backwards into fascism, and a resistance has cropped up, and they're sending codes and messages via a children's television show. And the forming narrative is the narrator is not the whole way through, but each chapter is introduced by the puppet who is the main character of the show. And so she's saying, here's our friend Bailey, who's was supposed to be having fun with his friends tonight, but unfortunately then some not yet friends came and beat him up and put him in a little room, and they're asking him some questions, and I'm worried about him. And what do we do when we're worried about somebody? We sing the counting song, I think it was, I came up with. So you sing the counting song and you feel confident and happy again. And then I wrote the counting song and I can't sing at all. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that, because I still kind of want to narrate it, but I can't sing. So, yeah, that's the fun thing I'm struggling with right now. I'm behind on everything because of the previously mentioned issues I have going on. I don't want to put this in podcast for, sorry, my mind just turned blank. I don't want to put this in podcast to be saved for later. But I mentioned on the stream what was going on earlier, just some personal family stuff going on. I could get a collaborator, that's true. And the awesome folks at the garages did point out that I know a lot of people who do music and stuff. And I also know a couple of people in science fiction who do music. So I think I could reach out to somebody. But I'm not sure. I think I'll just need to talk to my editor about what exactly he's looking for. So yeah, I'm behind on pretty much everything except for actually hitting these streams mostly on time. And that's one thing I'm really glad I went to Twitch for, because it's really forcing me to stay on a regular schedule. Even if I can't post it to podcasts as regularly as I'd like, I at least get the stuff recorded, and I get it streamed if you can manage to be around to see it. Do I know the melody for the songs? It seems like half the battle. No. Music, I'm looking over at my violin right now. It's very funny. Music is like a foreign language to me. I don't even understand how music happens. I don't get it. Yeah. And my violin teacher isn't teaching me music theory, which I understand is how you think, you realize how all this stuff gets created. But I really do feel like, I still feel like the violin is a fun hobby for me that I will never actually do anything with. Partly is because I can't, the idea of melody and harmony and one person starting to play something and other people falling in. And I know that improv is not always the easiest thing, and it's very jazz focused, but if someone says play something in E, I don't know. I have no idea. I think I got the couple of the arpeggios down. That's what I got. So, but yeah, I've got friends who do music a little bit better than I do. Devo Spice is a good friend, and he's done music for me before. I don't know if he's around, but yeah, I know I have options. The problem is, and I know this is ridiculous because the book is going to be released and people are going to hear it, but at this point I'm like, I don't know if I want these musical people to see the terrible, terrible songs I wrote. In my defense, I was trying to write songs that sounded like they were more focused on being venues through which codes would be passed. Meaning, it's a very clunky song because it's meant to have a code inside of it. Like the song was written to deliver the code, not be a good song about counting. And it's kind of all over, yeah. And, maybe I'm just laughing at the fact that I can't... See, the thing I'm learning about music, in the form of lyrics anyway, is you've got to have a very strong sense of wordplay and not just knowing a rhyming dictionary, but there's a lot more focus that goes into every single word you say, because there's a whole lot writing on it. Like, I can just I can write any words I want to tell the scene that I want to tell. I can write anything. I don't have to worry about meter. I don't have to worry about scanning. I don't have to worry about rhyming. I don't have to worry about any of that. I'll just write the scene the way I want it, and then I'll make it stronger or tighter or something. But when you're doing poetry or song lyrics, you can't just write what you want to write. You've got to fit it into a specific thing. It's really funny. Someone in chat says, have you had to sit through any Blue's Clues? It's really funny because Blue's Clues was one of my inspirations for this story. There's something about adults interacting with children through television, and the children see these actors as what the actor is trying to present. I am older than you, so I'm an authority figure, but I'm very childlike anyway, so you're going to trust me, and it's going to be fun, and you can trust where I lead you. That's what these children's television hosts do. But as a parent, you're looking at it going, it'll be really weird to run into you at the grocery store and seeing you price cantaloupes. That'd just be weird. And just thinking about these hosts and what they do and how they do it has always been kind of in the back of my mind. And yes, I did watch a lot of Blue's Clues. And you're right, Blue's Clues songs are very, very, very simple. I believe one of them is, we just got a letter, we just got a letter, we just got a letter, wonder what's inside or wonder what it says or something. So you're right, there's not a lot of complexity there. But again, these are supposed to be transmitting codes. So there's got to be more than a repetition of we just got a letter. Bruce Springsteen purportedly wrote Blinded by the Light by sitting down with a rhyming dictionary and picking stuff at random. The male song still pops into my head, and yes, it makes me want to wag my tail. That's awesome. So yeah, I really respect people who can write songs. Yes, I am a Garage's fangirl, but what gets me is, to go on a little bit of a baseball tangent here, the fact that people took the funny names, really, that's all they gave us. That's all the game company gave us, is funny names of people on funny teams. And the fact that the fans got together and created lore for these people, created all the backstories, and then artists got on board and started drawing the people. And then the Garages got on board and started writing songs about them. And they'll take, like, somebody with a terrible, terrible record who, like, went to bat 3 times, hit 3 ground outs, and then got incinerated, and they will write this heartbreaking story about someone who just wants to play well, doesn't do a really good job, and is facing their own end by incineration and wondering if anyone's going to remember them. And you want to cry. And this person, like this random number generated person, just got three ground outs. And that's it. And the fact that they can do this, and I'll maintain, you don't need to know anything about baseball or baseball either to appreciate these songs. They're just good songs. And just watching what they have done and watching what, Numbers Ninja has done with their art, and there's just, like, I'm amazed. And of course it feels stupid because, I can write stories. That's creative too. But, I look at the things that I can't do, and I'm really impressed by all that. Mr. Rogers was beloved in his neighborhood. Mr. Rogers was beloved everywhere. I mean, I believe the anecdote is true that someone stole his car, and when they found out whose car they stole, they returned it. Yeah, they returned Mr. Rogers' car. Anyway, so that's but he snuck things in his show for kids. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you elaborate? I mean, I remember I was definitely a kid when Mr. Rogers was at his peak, so I just remember really disliking the pussycat, going every other word was meow, but I liked everything else. Anyway, I forgot that was, that's pretty much what I'm going on. Good news, I don't know, I got a full night's sleep last night. I am feeling confident about my, I'm feeling confident about the outlines that I'm working on. That's about it. Things are a little rough right now, and I'm just trying to make it through. But now is the point of the show where I want to hear your good news, if there is any. And remember, if you're new, we treat rejections as good news here because rejections prove that you are doing the writer's job. We don't deny that they suck. We don't deny that they hurt. But they do mean something, and that means that just like when you're sore after a workout, rejections, when you work out and you get sore, what that soreness tells you is that you worked out. Yes, it's hard to walk. Yes, you can't lift your hands above your head, but you worked out. So when you get rejected, yes, it hurts, and it hurts your confidence, but you did it. That shows you did the job. And the next time you do it, you'll think, okay, well, that hurt a little bit, but it didn't kill me, and I'm probably getting better. So you just keep going. That's why rejections are celebrated here on this show. Celebrate the progress and the process, not just the end results. Thank you, kids are asleep. Rejection calluses are real, indeed. So, if you have any sales or rejections, or, you just submitted your first thing and it was scary, tell us about it. We'll hit the yay button, confetti will fall. It'll be great. And if not, I'm just going to hit the yay button for all the stuff that y'all don't think is good enough for me to say on this show, but you might just be feeling a little good about it yourself. So, I'm still hitting the yay button. You can't stop me. So, also, if you're listening to this later, then please email me if you have any good news. I would love to hear it. I'm sorry, I have you thinking kids shows and you're now mentally singing the You Did It song from Dora. So much publishing news is, here's some good news, but you can't say anything between 2 and 17 months. That is absolutely true, Preemie. Does that mean I get to hit the yay button and not know why? Actually, Preemie, I do know a reason we can hit the yay button for you, so I'm going to do that. And Kids Are Asleep says, my yay is I hit 50k words on the current work in progress, which is about the halfway point. Tree Lobster's got another round of edits, taking some pleasure in rejecting a large number of them, putting in a lot of keep it as is comments. You gotta know, if I ever got a knuckle tattoo, it would say stat. That's what my knuckle tattoo would say. I don't know if I have the guts to get a tattoo on my hand, because that sounds awful, but it would say stat. I don't know what the other one would say, though. That's the problem. Don't have a stat partner word, like love and hate. Is that the part of the contract you can't say anything? What's the logic behind that? A lot of times people will, they will want... Oh, thank you for the sub, Joey T. Badger. Welcome. Really appreciate the support. Thank you. So yeah, the logic behind it is when there's somebody who you go into business with, and I'm saying that very loosely, because that can count that counts Hollywood, it counts a new publisher, it includes a really big deal. If somebody gets like a 6 or 7 figure deal, usually the people who make the deal are the ones who want to know exactly when to release that information. Sometimes it's when a pre-order is available. That's usually a little late, but sometimes it's when a Hollywood deal goes from option to the next step, because options mean nothing but free money, which is great, but if you get an option, there's still so many steps towards anything actually becoming a film or a TV show. You might as well just take the free money and say thanks and then stop thinking about it, which you won't do, but try to remember that. And sometimes we at Escape Pod advise our authors to not announce until the contract is signed. Because, something could happen in the contract process that makes one or the other party pull out. So when the contract is signed, then you can say, I sold a story to Escape Pod, yay. So those are the various reasons. And sometimes people don't even have a reason. I sold the rights to my first book to Netflix. And they bought an 18-month option, and they never announced it. Ever. It was killing me. And then they said, well, we haven't done anything in 18 months, so we'll re-up it. Which was great. More free money. Awesome. But I didn't hold my breath. And I remember it because I took a nap one afternoon. And I woke up and I looked at Twitter and everyone was very excited. And I had no idea what was going on and I was half asleep still. And I realized Netflix had finally announced that that they'd bought my option. And I'm like, well, thanks guys, but I celebrated this like 2 years ago. But thank you. That option has since run out, by the way. If you know anybody who wants the rights to Shambling Guide to New York City, let me know. If any agents, anybody in Hollywood comes up to you and says, do you know where I can find Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy but for monsters? Tell them to call me. But anyway, that's why the people don't always want to tell you what's going on. So if no more good news is happening, thanks again for the subscription, Joey T. Badger. I finally picked up my mail from my mailbox yesterday, and I got a piece of mail from you and wanted to thank you for that. Tiny good news. Hit me, phased out. What is it? I love tiny good news. I love big good news. I love good news that feels icky like a rejection, but is really good news because you're doing the job. I'm here for all of it. Boggles my mind that people will option something and then do nothing with it. It is disgusting. Honestly, even as someone who's been a recipient of it, it is disgusting how much money they just throw around in Hollywood. I can't even believe it. I made more money I've since earned more through those books, but for a little while, my film options had made me more money than the book ever did with the Shambling Guides. Phased Out says, when I went to pick up my frames for new computer glasses, I was expecting the company in my home country, lab on site, get glasses in an hour, was told 1 to 2 weeks, and then I got a text they were ready, and they look good apparently. Okay, yeah, being told that you have to wait on something and then that arriving, that's pretty cool. Congratulations, Phased Out. We'll hit the yay button for that, and the yay button for anybody else who has news that they cannot or do not want to share. So, well done, everybody. Keep up the good work. Podcast hit 100 downloads. That's amazing, Joey T. Badger. Which podcast is this? I'm not even sure I know if you do a podcast. Oh, the Little League Baseball, right. I didn't know if you have, you had been releasing those via podcast now. You can put a link in the chat to the podcast, Joey. I don't know if you heard my Blaseball discussion earlier, but I was talking about all the stuff that people make in connection to Blaseball and how it just boggles my mind, the art and the music, and I'd forgotten about Little League Baseball, which is the TTRPG of playing Blaseball, but as a Little League, not the pros. Blaseball is inspiring. It is. Phased Out is available if people have trouble riffing without a person to bounce off and want someone who's willing to randomly blurt on pretty much any geeky topic. I'm available. That's a very specific kind of job skill, Phased Out. It's interesting. So what I wanted to talk about this day was, somebody posted on Twitter yesterday saying, there's the whole show me your age without saying the word, or show me, and then people put up things like a sitcom from when they were children, or a major news event like the Challenger explosion or something. And then recently there was, show me where you're from by only saying food. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that because I'm not from a major city. I'm from, we don't have any very specific cuisine where I grew up that's not, reflected in the majority of the North Carolina, South Carolina, southern areas. But I was thinking, but those are the little things that really cement a story in people's minds. And the thing is, when they don't hear that, they won't miss it, but they'll know something's off. It's like audio engineering. You never know, or unless you have some experience with it, you don't notice good audio usually. You notice bad audio. So when they don't do it right, that's when it stands out. But I'm thinking about, people actually make fun of some epic fantasy authors. The two names that leap to mind are Melanie Ron and George R. R. Martin, because they put a lot of feasting and a lot of clothing descriptions into their books. And people think that's frivolous or padding or whatever, but it's not. Because what it does is it tells you, food tells you who people are. Clothing tells you who people are. Clothing will tell you not only where they're from climate-wise, but it may also talk about a time period or a dominant religion, or it can tell you all sorts of things without just saying he wore a brown shirt. And even if you're doing science fiction or fantasy, maybe even especially if you're doing science fiction and fantasy, you need those little things to make your experience more real. I mean, food tell you economics as well. Thank you, the Rhoda. That is a really good point. So there's, somebody going to barbecue thing is always such a big thing around here, because so many different places have different meats and sauces with regards to barbecue, and there's people get very fussy about it. So if you wrote a story about someone eating pork barbecue with a vinegar sauce in Kansas City, no, that would, it's like some people would just think, oh, they're eating food. They're eating a food. They're eating a sandwich. But no, somebody from North Carolina or somebody from Kansas City will go, hang on, that is not right. I did this in 6 weeks where I had somebody doing, trying to trigger a memory in her own head, and she's trying to hack her own brain. Long story. And she ties it to her favorite treat as a child, because we have so many strong memories tied to taste and smell and childhood. And so that was one way I tried to do that. Oh, wow, lots of comments. Kids are asleep. And then if you're Black, Indigenous, people of color group and don't put enough food in your books, people get mad because they wanted to know about your culture or whatever. That is the downside, yeah. And some people have, the problem of, there have been stereotypes and some racist things coming up from the food their culture eats. And that sometimes is a difficult line to walk. I saw a documentary, I think it was about Black Southern food or something, and there were a number of people interviewed talking about how they would not mention enjoying fried chicken around a white person. because of that stereotype. And unfortunately, that is also something that grounds you in the thought of what people will say around people who are of their own group or who are not around their own group. That's also very telling. Hey Todd, good to see you. Oh, Preemie. No, I'm so sorry. Why is there more curry in your books? You have an Indian name. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, there are unfortunately some expectations. And we mentioned this last episode, I think, where we talked about how some people can have put unfair expectations on a marginalized writer from a marginalized group, I should say, that your story has too much of whatever connects you to your culture, that other people, they mean white people usually, other people won't identify with it. But if you don't put enough in there, then you're not telling an own voices story because of all that. There are, lines to walk, but the deal is, if you want to tell a story about somebody who is of another group than yours, do your research. And that means read books by people in that group. Don't just go to Wikipedia. So, you read a book by somebody in that group and you'll get a better sense of what grounds that culture. And even if it's not a huge, let's do a big feast, you're going to find something. I mean, for me, growing up in the 80s, having, two parents working, the whole frozen food dinner thing was a big grounding thing. But then again, I had a mountain grandma who was capable of cooking Christmas dinner on a wood stove when the power went out. And she did. And, those are the things that I feel ground my story, the story of Myrrh, to the North Carolina mountains. Oh yeah, spaghetti too. So, whether you make whether you're making something up, a new culture in a fantasy story, a future culture in a science fiction story, these little scenes where you may just be giving, expositional dialogue, and that's how you're moving the story forward. Do not give up those opportunities to really ground the story in authenticity. And you can even have them eating processed food crackers, but then the person having a thought of, they could have at least sprung for apples. They're in season around here. I know that's very broad, but that was the one that came to mind. It's just, and you think you remember how your mom did these study breaks when you were a kid, and I don't know, I'm just pulling things out of the air, but it's the tying the food to a memory, tying the food to a culture. And I'm talking mainly about food, but it also goes for it goes for clothing. It goes for a community sense of what they love. For example, back in the day when there were only 8 teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference, putting on my sports journalism hat for a moment, the ACC tournament would start on Friday afternoons, and pretty much my high school ground to a halt. And we would wheel in television so we could all watch the ACC tournament on that specific day. And that is a very North Carolina thing, because this is back in the day when North Carolina had 0 professional teams. None. No Hornets, no Panthers, definitely no Hurricanes. So we had college sports. And that is a very big North Carolina thing. I think it still is, pretty much. But when we had no professional sports teams, college was the thing. And so the idea of a teacher allowing you to blow off your class to watch a basketball game was, that is one thing that is very clear from my childhood and my location. Yes, music is also identifying, indeed. Yes. So you can think about your characters in this way. We talk about, things to do with when you're building your characters, like trying to tell the story of their childhood, try to give them... My favorite thing is to put all the characters in one very stressful situation and make sure that they all respond differently. My classic easy go-to is a waiter spills ice water on you. Every character should respond differently. But you can also think if the characters were served the same dish, think about how they would respond to it. Would it be with disgust? Would it be with delight because it reminded them of their childhood? Would it be delightful because their childhood was poor and they didn't have a lot, and this, even though it's a run-of-the-mill food for this area, is so new and exciting that it's a delicacy? And people really get into those details. I think a lot of people laugh at description porn, and unless your name's China Mieville, it's really hard to write. China Mieville's one of the few people that can, spend the first 8 pages of a book just describing a city. Not even people, but describing a city, and you will just eat it up. Has he written anything lately? I have not heard him do anything since, the 3 Explosions novella. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent there. Sorry. So I'm going to check up on chat real quick. My school stopped when UK basketball was on. I don't think we ever watched a sport in school, ever. We watched trials. What is that? Does that say something about your school, your area, or the time period you're talking about? Because I'm thinking of some high-profile trials in the past 30 or so years. Can they eat with chopsticks? I was in my 20s before I was ever given any. My friends thought it was hilarious. Interesting. Yeah. Preemie says, world building is implicit in characters because every character is built by a different world in terms of family, background, location, class, etc. I need to remember which book this is. When I got my MFA, we studied a scene at a dinner table that was fraught with tension, and no one ever said anything about what they were tense about. It was just brilliant description of this just tense conversation people are having. I want to say it was Toni Morrison, something by Toni Morrison, but I'm not sure. May have to look back on my notes if I can find my notes. But it was just at the family dinner table, you got a sense of the hierarchy. You got a sense of there's somebody missing. I believe there was a seat that they left empty, and I think that person was coming home. And so you got a sense of who was looking forward to it without ever saying anything about the person, and who was not looking forward to it. And so much unsaid when they're talking about dinner was just masterful. But I need to remember which book it was. I want to say it was something by Toni Morrison, but I'm not sure. Oh well. You watched the OJ trial for sure. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, Val, if you meant the OJ trial. So I think I'm going to end this for the podcast for now. If you have any questions, please email me at mightymar@gmail.com or see the blog and show notes at merverse.com. You can support me via Patreon or Coffee or Jemmy, and when I get back to not being so stressed out as I am right now, I'll get back to my newsletter, The Hot Mic, which I've got a newsletter almost ready to go. It just needs a little bit more work, and yeah, there's that. So if you want to catch me on Twitch, I stream live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you don't want to catch me live or can't catch me live, then you can find me where fine podcasts are found. So I hope I will see you next week. Take care of yourself this weekend. And, you know, some people will be wanting to do a lot of memory stuff. I am recording this right before the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. Some people will want to be turning off their television and their internet and just staying inside and not participating in anything. And you take care of yourself how you see fit. And I'll see you next week. And until then, you should be writing. Yeah, the Challenger explosion. Yeah, that was, we were actually out for snow that day. So all of us were sitting at home watching alone. Yeah. So that was fun. In fact, I wasn't watching it. I decided to call my best friend that morning. So I called her right after the explosion happened. And she's like, "What are you calling me for? Look at the television." And yeah, probably should have been watching it. Not that I would have helped. That just went to a really weird and awkward place. Someone else to talk about something. Oh God, I'm so tired. Oh, I think I would just want to sleep all next week, if I can. I don't think I can. But I want to try. So about those foods, yeah. About the foods. What fun games am I playing? Well, in a small sense of telling you a little bit about me without telling you about me, I tried again to play Mass Effect, and it didn't grab me again. I love Dragon Age. Any Dragon Age game I have just paddled around and bathed in and played with and played through multiple times. Romance lots of different people, just experienced as much as I possibly could of Dragon Age. And I'm a sci-fi writer, and I can't get into Mass Effect. I'm trying. I really am. But you know, one night I was thinking I should play Mass Effect, and then a little voice said, or you could play Horizon Zero Dawn. I went, ooh, I could play Horizon Zero Dawn again. And I am having a lot of fun playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now. I am defaulting to trying to beat a Thunderjaw or the cats who can go invisible. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, just trying to beat them to death with my stick instead of, using any of the multiple fire, ice, electric tools at my disposal. I just, I'll fire them. Yeah, I'll fire at them, and then when they get close, I'll just try to start beating on them with my stick. I lose more often than I win, but I still have belief in the stick. So Horizon Zero Dawn appears to have a very meat-heavy diet with herbs for medicine, exactly. And just chawing on herbs just make that big open wound that the Thunderjaw just ripped in your side just knit right up. I am not done with Mass Effect entirely, but it's just, the awesome thing about Switch games is I can play them and, in the same room with family while they're watching something or playing something on the TV. But with the PlayStation, if you're playing something on the PlayStation, you are taking the large entertainment thing. So it's sometimes we trade off, or watch a television show on an iPad and then play a PlayStation game. The future really is good sometimes, isn't it? I just left my left my iPad in the hospital with my family member so they could watch Ted Lasso because they had never seen Ted Lasso before. So I downloaded 3 episodes and just left the iPad over there. The Tripcaster is hard to wield for me. The Tripcaster or the Ropecaster? The thing that scares me about the Tripcaster is it's so loud. It makes you think like it makes such a chunky noise that you think that the machines are going to hear you, but they don't hear you. They just don't until you like throw a rock, and then suddenly they're all very excited. On the Switch, I'm still playing Hades. That's still a lot of fun. I'm just going through with more and more heat, and I learned what happens when you have maximum extreme measures on. Extreme measures is when you give the boss of every level something special. So the first extreme measures, I believe it's just the 3 Furies show up. Usually you meet one of them, maybe 2, but all 3 of them show up. The second one is when you're facing the Hydra, and there's a lot more lava around, and the Hydra can kind of bounce its skull farther than it could have when it was attached to a spine. And then the third one is when Achilles shows up. I mean, Achilles is already a tool, but now he shows up like in golden armor with bullets. You know, I don't even know what it's called when you've got your ammo across your chest like a beauty sash, a beauty pageant sash, only it's bullets, whatever that's called. And he's got a little chariot, and he giggles gleefully as he goes around the tournament area and fires his little gun at you. Bandolier, thank you, Todd. Yes, Hades is replayable, Val. It's so replayable. So much with the replayable. And then, so this is what happens if you do extreme measures 1 level, you get the Furies, and on and on and up. And the 4th boss, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say the 4th boss is Hades. So I went through with all 4 levels of extreme measures, and I don't want to spoil it, I really don't, but yeah, the extra bonus that Hades gets was very, very surprising. I'm just gonna urge you to try it out, because I don't. I'm glad I didn't get spoiled when it happened. I was just jaw on the floor. It was really, really funny. So yeah, if you're at the point in the game where you're doing the packs of punishment and adding heat and difficulty, try the extreme measures. It's interesting. If you can get through Theseus and his damn little go-kart. Let's see. The Tree of Lobsters has been sneaking behind the house, pulling carrots out of the ground and eating them. Did you eat them covered in dirt? Hated cooked carrots, love fresh out of the ground, though. Did you tell your parents that you liked fresh carrots? Because, I think maybe I would want to take my kid and give them whatever vegetable they wanted in the form they wanted them in. Because children asking for vegetables are good. Yeah, kids are asleep. The Tripcaster is okay for me. It's the Ropecaster I have a problem with. Usually because someone is in your face and firing big, frozen, nasty things at you while you're trying to tie them down with a rope. Lovely Hades-like game I might like called Dreamscaper. I think I might have picked that up. I recently went on a quick buying binge, and I got Necrobarista? Yeah, I got Necrobarista, and I got Garden World. I think that's what it's called. I picked up Story of Seasons. It has not grabbed me yet, which is unfortunate because I usually love those kinds of games. Rune Factory 4, Stardew Valley. I love the let's plant a lot of crops, make a lot of money, and save the world with swords. Those are my two interests. That's the Venn diagram of my interests. I failed at hiding a lot last night, but I do prefer sneaking to charging. Well, you had to charge last night, and you did an amazing job at it. That was... Yeah, I even at one point during that, the Kids Are Asleep was trying to do a mission that I found very difficult in, like, the first quarter of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's not that thing. And it's one of those things where you don't have to be sneaky. You can just run through and try to kill everything you can. But sneaky is a lot easier if you can sneak. So one time I just tried to see if I could get them to all come to me, and I would just snipe them. But I think there was respawn, because they just kept coming up to my area, and I would shoot them in the head, and then I was hiding somewhere, so it was just like their heads pop up, and I shoot them in the head, and then someone else pops up, because they didn't see their buddy fall back with an arrow out of their forehead. Remember watching the first movie version of Alan Moore's superhero, let's make superheroes dark attempt that has been dramatized twice now. Help me. Because this is embarrassing. Damn it. Thank you! Val wins, Watchmen. Todd wins, Watchmen. Yes. Who watches the Watchers, exactly. So, there's a scene where two heroes are just, like, trying to clean up the streets, and they go into an alley, and these two thugs attack them, and because it's a dark superhero story, we get to watch these superheroes break many, many bones with many, many sound effects. And so they attack, they get their bones broken, they're screaming, there's crunching, and then more people attack. And I'm thinking, how many of my friends do I need to watch have their bones broken and have me go, you know what? I'm good. You win. I'm not going to run up against you with no backup. And you know, you expect at some point someone to do a game where, you know, someone's like, you know, you're good. You win. Cool. I'm just gonna over here. There's one where, wow, I can just remember everything today except for names of things. Oh, Skyrim. In Skyrim, you can like get somebody up to almost dead, and they'll be like, mercy, mercy. I'm like, all right. You gave up. You got mercy. So you give them mercy and you stop attacking, and then they'll be kind of like that one hit point kind of crouched over thing, and then they'll slowly start to heal, and they'll be like, great, I feel better. Now I'm going to try to kill you again. So I stopped giving them mercy, and now I feel guilty, but I know when they recover, they're just going to come at me again. And I know this takes rather a lot more programming than it sounds like. It's easy to tell a story like that. It's much harder to program someone to see if they've seen X number of broken bones, they decide to run away. But it's possible. So, yeah, it's Hades on Switch I'm playing most of. Horizon Zero Dawn on PS3. 4. I can't even remember anymore. 4. We do not have a 5 yet. PS4, and then on my iPad it's either Stardew Valley or FTL. Or This War of Mine. 3 very different games. But, This War of Mine is very, very bleak. It's done by a Polish company that wants to tell a story of people who are the regular people who have to deal with wartime in their city. And there's, like, soldiers and there's rebels and there's gunfire, and all they're trying to do is, survive. Make sure their house has holes boarded up and make sure they have enough food, and if someone gets sick, figure out how to get them bandages and very little combat. In fact, combat's a bad idea. There's only a couple of times when I've sought combat. So that this war of mine it makes you think. It does, because it has many, many different options for your starting characters. So there's like the woman who's the ex-lawyer who's a negotiator. So when the guy, every once in a while, like a traveling sales guy comes up to your house to barter, and if she's the one bartering, you'll get a better deal. And then there's the guy who can cook for less clean water and food than everybody else when they cook. There's also a builder. There's a fast runner who's good to go on nighttime exploits. There's a sneaker who's also good. Things like that. And one of them is a recent DLC added children in that. And no, you cannot send children out into the war-torn city to scavenge for food and stuff, but it does add a different level to the game of now you have to do more nurturing, and it is a compelling game. And sometimes you never know when it's going to end. I think it's random. Like you need to spend about 30 days, and sometimes it'll go up to 45. Sometimes the war will be over in like 31 days, but you never know, because you're just a civilian trying to get by, and you're not paying attention to all the big fighty people. And then, starting playing FTL again, even though I'm not terribly good at it, and it's a very hard game at its best. And I've not unlocked my favorite ship yet, so I think I cleaned it in an attempt to not be addicted to FTL anymore. I erased it from my iPad a long time ago, and then of course I picked it back up months later, and now I have to unlock all the ships again. So the ships, damn it. So that's what I'm playing. I'm looking forward to Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which is February. Looking forward to Star Wars Lego on Switch in December. I think Danganronpa is coming to Switch as well. I've played that a little bit on the PC, but not a lot. I think I did... my Switch is downstairs. I'll check Dice of Lily. I think I did pick up Dreamscaper, but I'm not sure. I did hear good things about that. I'm addicted to Genshin Impact. It's free. What is that one? What is that one about? Oh yes, I must put the emotes in chat to promote Numbers Ninja's art. There. I think I saw somebody on Twitch playing Genshin Impact, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh, Zero Dawn gets the Tropics DLC next month. I did not know that. I thought the Frozen Wilds, it was going to be done with the Frozen Wilds, and then... You mean we get to see Aloy fight in something other than snow? Because I keep worrying about her. She's just cold. So many people in the snow with bare arms. And, jumping onto a ledge and holding up her entire body weight with her fingertips. And the ledge is icy. It's just her fingers will be shredded. She would have a lot bigger upper body mass if she were able to climb that easily. It worries me sometimes. I'm excited for Tropics Times. I didn't even know. This is very exciting for me, because that'll help me wait for the PS5 and Horizon Zero Dawn 2. The huge open world where I can chase frogs and crabs when I need a pick-me-up. looks like I need to try it just for that. We got Aloy and Genshin on PS4 last patch. That's cool. But did anybody see it when Aloy was a dude was complaining that she just wasn't pretty enough and why she didn't wear makeup and smile? I'm like, did you play the game? Do you want to tell me where in the game she would have had time and the resources and give a crap about makeup? Or when was a good point for smiling in the time that she's completely and utterly exiled from her clan and doesn't understand why? Or searching for her mother, who she has no idea who it is. Or watching her tribe get killed. Or, I mean, there's just not a lot of smiley moments in Horizon Zero Dawn. A lot of grimacing ones. Yes, and he tried to mock up Aloy with makeup and a smile, and it was horrifying. It was unbelievable. And I'm just like, still, it's the smile thing. It's always the smile thing. Just don't tell women to smile. We're very good at smiling ourselves when we want to. We don't need to be reminded. Promise. It's one good thing about the whole mask thing. No one has to tell me to smile anymore. I was told to smile when I was signing up for a Romance Times convention. This is like 90% women, but the one guy helping with sign up told me to smile, and I said, why? And he did not know how to answer that. I'm trying really hard not to swear here. I don't swear on this podcast, even though this version just goes out to Patreon supporters. I still try to remain clean, but I really couldn't believe it because, you think at a like 90% women event, that's one thing you would be free from. The smile thing, man. But yes, the makeup and smile face on Aloy it's awful. Nightmarish. Nightmare fuel. Oh boy. So, I am going past my hour here. Those people get death stares and bad karma. Exactly. It got pretty thoroughly dunked on Twitter, thankfully. Yeah, it did. I mean, they didn't even do... It wasn't even a good mock-up. It wasn't even like an attractive version with makeup and a smile. It was horrific. But yeah, I have a lot of podcast editing to do if I'm going to get this and the other 5 episodes edited and uploaded before. Yeah, it's gonna be a long weekend. So I should probably get going. If you have any questions, let me know right now and I will answer them, or we could talk about video games some more. I'm always up for that. But hopefully next week I can get back on a schedule of doing like gaming on Monday and Wednesday afternoons. Gonna have to look at Numbers Ninja's schedule and see when she can join me, if she can join me this season or this semester. Yeah, and I did say that I was going to start doing narrative games on my streams because that kind of ties it into the whole writing thing that I'm doing. Maybe some other time, if I can build up my audience, I'll do more gamey games. But I feel like I need to stay on brand. I hate saying it, but it's true. I'll play a narrative game and talk about the narrative and do writing podcasts. And one day I would like to have the confidence of N.K. Jemisin, who can just get online whenever she wants, load up Skyrim, run around and steal cheese, and that's her stream. But MK Jemison is many, many things that I am not. So, I can't really compare myself to her. Oh boy, that's fun. Okay. Y'all, thank you for showing up and hanging out and, yeah, just being part of my stream and my community. It makes things so much nicer and easier to know that I have a stream and I'll see the same faces and the occasional new faces, which is even more exciting. And it makes difficult things easier. And things are a little difficult right now, so I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. So, gonna probably raid DM Jazzy Hands, because he always seems to be streaming when I get done. So, and he's delightful. Yeah, he's still playing Mass Effect. I believe he's already gone up to 3. Thank you guys. I hope you have an excellent weekend as well. I'm gonna go to my credits. Thank you everybody who supports via Patreon, Coffee and Jemmy, and via Twitch as well. You can subscribe via Twitch. I Should Be Writing is available to you under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Theme music by John Emilio. Art by Numbers Ninja. Production by Summer Brooks. And hosting by Libsyn. Find all of this information and more at Merverse.com. And remember, we can't do this without you. Thanks for your support.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.